What's going on, YouTube? Lord Houston on this LTH coming at you with video. 713 the Space City, we in the building. Well, Houston has a Saturday game going back to SoFi Stadium, this time taking on the Chargers and a 2024 wildcard playoff rematch. Last time these two met, Texans picked off Herbert 4 times, including returning one for a touchdown by former Texan Eric Murray, who's now on the Jaguars. Stingley got him a pick. Last time these two teams met, the score was 32-12. But yes, that was then, and this is 2025. With 2 games left and a lot at stake, including the race to the AFC South crown, which Jacksonville currently holds a 1-game lead still, after beating up on the Broncos, still credit to them. But at the same time, it's the Texans that they got to worry about their own selves and how they plan on keeping that 8-game winning streak alive against a good Chargers team that pimp slapped the Cowboys this past Sunday. And I got to admit, the offense played like sissies. And yes, Stroud, didn't look too confident, especially against the uncomfortable blitzes. Sure, he didn't get sacked, but he didn't look so confident while the offensive line was getting beat up at times. And Stroud missed throws, which is a pain in the neck for an offense. Credit the Raiders defense for playing their hearts out, but the Texans, they can do better than this, along with Nick Caley, coming up with better offensive game plans on how to put Stroud and the quarterback in better positions, which starts with, this Saturday, which I'm going to go talk about what the Texans need to do offensively. And yeah, I know they should have been figured out, the whole offense should have been figured things out, despite having a top defense. Yes, I know he's just a first-time play caller, in which I'm tired of, by the way, and I still believe they should have hired an experienced coordinator. But for the offense, hopefully, Woody Marks plays this game, by the way, along with, but offense just got to do a better job of sustaining drives, and because about scoring more than one touchdown when it matters, along with, C.J. Stroud doing a better job of reading the blitzes better when under pressure. Because when he's not under pressure, yes, good things happen, but Stroud, when he's under uncomfortable pressure, he's got to do a better job of learning to extend plays to keep the play alive. But decision-maker goes, if it's not there, throw it away. Live to play another down. And of course, you want to establish the run, with both Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, or even Jawar Jordan. Supposedly, Woody Marks plays this game. And of course, Nico didn't have the brightest of games. Yes, along with Dalton Schultz, who had him a touchdown, third receiving touchdown, who's having a good year. I thought the Raiders did a pretty good job of limiting the receivers' production along with the tight end production. But then again, it's no excuse to why they let the Raiders hang with them. So offense got to get out to a fast start, in confident fashion. Even when things are uncomfortable, can't go around playing like sissies out there, because the Chargers, a much better defense than the Raiders. Just like the Texans got a good defense, so does the Chargers. Another good defense that the Texans are playing against. Because Chargers, they will blitz the hell out of Stroud. Yes, they'll do whatever they can to limit the Texans' offense from putting points on the board. And yes, if the defense get hot, they'll continue to force the Texans to quick 3-and-outs. So Nick Caley's going to have to be extra aggressive in his play calls, along with spreading the field more. Plus separation, if it means keeping the defense guessing. And also want to neutralize. They got, Chargers got some dogs, Derwin James, Khalil Mack. And that D-line is pretty good too. Pretty good along with their pass rush. Got to be willing to neutralize that as well. So, yes, field goals is cool. I mean, you want to take the points. But what's more recommended is scoring touchdowns because field goals won't win you every game. Just like the defense won't be able to carry the load every game because, they got torched at times, the defense. Ashton Genty, Trey McBride. I mean, hell, even back in the beginning of the year, Puka Nacua, JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was a dog, by the way. They even torched the Texans as well. So, it's no, even the good defenses gotta struggle sometimes. Gotta take the good with the bad. And yeah, I gotta admit, starting to have some slight concerns within the defense. Starting with that secondary around the safety position, along with the Texans D-line. Thanks to two key D linemen out for the year, Mario Edwards Jr. and Tim Settle. Sucks to see them going down the worst time possible. But just like the offensive fundamentals got to be on point, hell, the defensive fundamentals got to be on point too. Which starts with getting after the quarterback consistently. Like I mentioned, you want to see key defenders such as Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter getting after Justin Herbert. But also you want to see, Tommy Togiai or Derek Barnett stepping up to the plate. Or even another D lineman, outside of Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. Hell, and hopefully, Aziz Al-Shaair should be good to play this game too, because, his presence was pretty missed as well. So hopefully he can play this game as well. If so, then that's a good sign. But, defensive and offensive fundamentals got to be on point. On point in calculating fashion. Defense, got to continue locking in through it all. Limit the big plays, especially do a better job of stopping the run and wrapping up because don't have to necessarily rely on forcing fumbles, which will come in due time for sure. But more importantly, to prevent big plays from being given up, wrap around so the opposing player can't gain big yards. You want to stop and run, limit Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen. Herbert's going to be looking for those guys. And Herbert, won't hesitate to try to use tight ends as well. So want to also limit the opposing tight end production as well. Kalen Bullock, Miles Bryant got to continue stepping up as well. Just in case Jimmy Ward, has yet to play. And Jalen Reed, ain't no telling when he'll be back. But thankfully, he's not out for the year. Hopefully, he'll be back for the play. I'll predict either the Colts game or for the wild card game in the playoffs, whichever happens. But we want to limit the big plays through the ground and the air, and force turnovers and force Justin Herbert into quick 3-and-outs along with 3rd-and-longs. Make like life as difficult as possible for the Chargers offense because you cannot afford to let them get hot early. Which leads me to say it's going to come down to which offense executes when it matters between the Texans and Chargers. So, like I say, it's going to be a good game. Two good defenses going at it, but my primary part is going to come down to which team, happens to execute when it matters for 4 quarters, especially in the red zone at that. Because, the Texans haven't looked so good at red zone scoring this year, but if they can do that this game, they got a shot at winning, in this game. Plus extending their winning streak to 8 games, which is now the longest active streak in the NFL, since Denver and New England both lost their winning streaks recently. Jacksonville got the second longest winning streak while they're in first place. So, get after Justin, win in the trenches on both sides of the ball, play mistake-free football. And of course, Stroud got to play with more extra confidence. Even when things are uncomfortable, can't afford to be in his feelings almost when something doesn't go right. So, got to keep, chin up for C.J. Stroud, but that whole offense as well. Got to stop playing like some wussies and just let they nuts hang. In the defense, got to do a better job of stopping the run this game. Play like the number one defense that every Texans fan are used to seeing. Yes, they're going to have their hiccups, but as long as they play their brand of Texans defensive football, hey, sky's the limit. So, and like I said, there's a lot at stake. A lot at stake still. Still have little to no room for error. And if you want to, a Texans win will require a Jaguars loss to the Colts. But then again, even if the Texans do happen to find a way to win, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jags beat the Colts. But like as the saying goes, everything is possible, in which I'll be keeping more eye on the Jags and the Colts that game. Yes, the Colts took another L in which we play after the Chargers to conclude 2025. So, preparation got to be fully prepared and locked in. Win in the trenches, stay ahead of the sticks and not behind. Play Texas brand football, play, characteristic discipline. And of course, avoid boneheaded mistakes. Even if they're a part of the game, avoid them at all costs. And of course, coaching has to be on point too. Since it's Jim Harbaugh versus DeMeco Ryans coaching battle, it's going to be good. So, should be good. It's going to come down to who wants it more and how bad the Texans want to extend that winning streak to 8 games and stay in the AFC South race. Hell, even, gain first place to be exact, since they will possibly have the tiebreaker, since they week 9, week 10 come from behind win. So, but it all starts with week 17 at SoFi Stadium where their season began. But, hey, let's go Texans. And also got to shout out Mo Dog. Big shout out to you and shout out the LA Original. Big salute to y'all. Hats off to y'all. Playing some good football. Late in the year, just like the Texans. So, may the best team win, and let's go Houston Texans, and let's take care of business in the city of Angels. Till my next video, LTH checking on up out of here. 713 in Space City. H is up all the way up in the sky. I'm out. Go Texans. Let's get this W.